All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Arms Micron Stunt Wildrider, a very cool figure here. Now, Arms Micron, of course, was just the Japanese version of the Transformers Prime toy line, and the extra gimmick that they had here is that they all came with these little model kit Arms Micron guys that would basically, they were little target masters. They would transform into a weapon. In the case of Wildrider, he came with this little elephant named Ozu, who is probably the main reason I tried to buy this set back in the day, because I really like this guy. He's super cute. He now, of course, he's supposed to be a Decepticon, but I wanted him to be an Autobot, so I put an Autobot sticker there instead of the Decepticon one, but officially he's supposed to be a Decepticon, obviously pairing with Wildrider. Now, Wildrider himself is just a slight retool of the Transformers Prime Wheeljack mold, which was used a few times. It was also used for Dead End, of course, so kind of building out the Stunticon cast, even though, Transformers Prime Dead End doesn't really look anything like G1 Stunticon Dead End, but whatever. This one is much more closely based on the Stunticon of Wildrider. Now, he's got some stickers on here. I do like this, diagonal Decepticon logo on the hood here. That's neat. He's got, the Stunticon thing going there, which is nice metallic stickers. The Arms Micron toys mostly opted for sticker detailing over a lot of paint decals and stuff like that, which sometimes they kind of scuff up and peel off over time, but they've held up decently well. Now, he does come with the same swords that, of course, Wheeljack and Dead End came with. His are really flexible, more so than Dead End's swords, and I assume that Wheeljack's are a bit more like this because they're also painted, whereas these ones are unpainted and they're a lot more flexible. I don't know. It's not really the end of the world. He's got the same storage options for these as the other figures did, where, you can do the weird little tusk attack mode by tabbing them on underneath the hood there, which looks a little silly. But, of course, you can just take these and they will tab into what will be the robot mode feet underneath the car there, completely unobtrusively and under the vehicle mode, which I appreciate. But yeah, no, it's a pretty nice looking car mode. The only other difference is they've kind of taken the spoiler section here and added a couple Minicon ports basically so they could interact better with the Arms Microns, which, is something that most of the Arms Microns figures did, was add, little extra ports and pegs on the vehicle modes, but otherwise were unchanged. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe. Just so you can see what he looks like with a standard size deluxe. You can see they're pretty much about the same size there. Here he is again. I don't have Wheeljack, but here he is with Dead End there, so you can see what the two of them look like together. I feel like they're pretty cool there. And then here he is with Legacy Breakdown, just so you can see, not Breakdown, Wildrider, just so you can see what the two of them look like together. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to vehicle mode in terms of transformation. Obviously, we'll just take off the swords and put them off to the side for now. It's exactly the same as this guy if you have him or the Wheeljack mold. Basically, you want to take these back chunks here and just kind of wiggle them out and separate them just like that, and then you can kind of untab these sections here, pushing on this bottom section to get the window pieces out, and just fold these out to the side for now. Then you can take the whole thing here and just flip it down like this so that the waist kind of pegs into the back there. And then you can take the front hood section of the vehicle, flip it around like that till it tabs into place, which then allows you to take these sections and slide them up and rotate them back just like this. And then we can kind of separate the legs here and flip the feet down and then rotate the legs forward at the thigh swivel. Again, I absolutely adore that leg transformation. That's the most famous thing about this figure is just how all of that works is really, really neat. And then you can take this section here and you rotate this down, and halfway through you want to take this section and just double hinge it up to expose his head, and then bring these sections up so that basically these slots here will sit, perpendicular. So they line up like that, and then you can take the chest and tab it into place, locking those in place. And then for the arms here, you want to take the window sections. They're on a little slider. Just slide them out, rotate them around, compress them back in, rotate the hands forward, and then kind of double hinge the the arms down there. And then last but not least, you just take his little back fins here and just rotate them out at an angle. And there we have Wildrider in his robot mode. And yeah, it's a really cool design. Obviously, you know, the proportions of this are very prime Wheeljack, because that's the mold that it's based off of. But yeah, you know, I think it works well. It's a really cool design here. I love the new head sculpt here. It's definitely like very much a Wildrider in the Transformers Prime aesthetic there without the nose, but he's got the nice spikes on the side of his head. And yeah, I think that maybe this Decepticon logo I added after the fact. I can't remember if that was actually part of the figure's design. Oh, you can also take his little knee spikes here and fold them down if you want. Now, obviously, we can give him his weapons here, and he can hold them in his hands just like that. And there, you know, that looks cool. Again, it's just making him look a little bit more like Prime Wheeljack, but then we can take these. If you want, you could store them on the shoulders like this, and that works fine. But you also have the extra storage spot of having these little slots back here where you can slot these into. And I talked about in Dead End's review how I didn't really like doing that because you're essentially scraping the paint a little bit. Since his aren't painted, that works a little bit better for him. Granted, I still think it looks a little bit silly with them like jutting up over his shoulders like that, but you know, it works. But honestly, I don't really like him with the sword, so I just kind of put these off to the side. But we can also bring on Ozu here, who's got his own little transformation. First thing you want to do for him is just flip his head around like that and just kind of drape it over the top. Take his little section with his legs here, and that will untab like that and then rotate up and tab into place. And then he's got this little slider on the side here where you can shoot out the barrel of the gun here, and he becomes a little like grenade launcher, which is super cool. Again, just like one of the really, really good looking Arms Micron weapon modes. And then you can have him hold that. Obviously, it kind of bumps into his little side panel here. So honestly, I don't think it looks that great on him, but you know, you can rotate his arms a little bit so he's kind of holding it two-handed, and I feel like that looks pretty cool. Obviously, it does match with his color scheme, but yeah, you know, I like this guy as a weapon. I don't necessarily like the two of them together, especially because his joints are a little bit too floppy for him to you know, wield that guy, but still, it's a really cool design, and I just think that both the grenade launcher mode and then also the little elephant mode are just really, really cute on Ozu, which is why he's one of my favorite Arms Microns. But yeah, they look pretty cool together. In terms of other comparisons in this mode, here they are again with Kingdom's Sideswipe. Just so you can see, pretty much average size deluxe there. Obviously he's got like the hunchback thing going on, but otherwise he's pretty much eye to eye with Sideswipe there. Here he is again with Dead End, who is always going to be my favorite version of this mold. I just think he looks ridiculous and really, really cool, and I love his head sculpt, but hey, you know, the two of them look pretty cool together. And then last but not least, here he is again with Legacy Wildrider, just so you can see what he looks like with a more G1 style Wildrider. And yeah, you know, obviously I don't really have this guy in my Canon display anymore, just because when I got him, I was kind of looking for a version of Wildrider to have on my shelf, whereas, you know, now obviously we've got much better kind of G1 Wildriders that actually do combine and make Menasor, which is nice, but you know, he's still a fun figure nonetheless, and I still really do appreciate having Ozu because he's just a fantastic little figure. I think he's really cool. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to them. Not a whole lot else to say about him. He's just a really cool figure, a fantastic mold, and, you know, kind of whatever version you have of it, it's just a mold that's worth messing with at some point. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday and Thursday, and without further ado, here we have Transformers Arms Micron Wildrider, or I guess Stunt Wildrider, and Ozu here.